Come join Libby, Molly, and Tiffany, the ladies of Consignment Chats, where we talk about all things consignment.
Hey, y'all. How are you today? What's up, ladies?
Hello.
We are on episode 21 of C Chats, Consignment Chats, otherwise known as AKA. And today it's another one of our awesome C Chat spotlights. I'm so excited.
These are my favorite episodes. They're just my favorite episodes. Getting to meet different people in the consignment community and network. It's just amazing.
It's so much fun, like making new friends. I love
it. Making new friends. Absolutely. So we have somebody who we met. She's part of our community, correct? And we are just getting to know her. So this is going to be a lot of fun because you're going to get to see us just getting to know each other. We're going to bring her on. We're going to let her tell you her business name, but her name is Tiffany. That's right. 2 Tiffany's, 2. So we're going to try to keep
that a lot of Tiffany.
That could be fun. That could be fun. So you guys come on over and join us. We're going to bring Tiffany in and let her tell you about herself. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Hey, Tiffany, welcome. Oh my gosh. We're so excited to have you today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Yeah. You know, I had to cut my garage sale short this morning to get back in time for this.
Now, that is pure love for us because I'm not sure I'd be cutting a garage sale short for anything.
That's commitment. That's consignment commitment right there.
Yes, I'm feeling very loved at the moment. And we've just met, but I feel like I'm up on your pedestal.
Oh yeah, I'm like super excited about this. So it's kind of a funny story. I always like to start with how, we know each other. And Molly and I were, for Conshy Consignment, we're kind of looking at starting live sales. And so, we'd watch other people's live sales. We'd shop at other people's live sales. And I had watched Tiffany's live sale and, followed her on social media, and it was just a great, but if she just has a great business, which you'll hear all about. And I happened to see one of her Instagram posts at some point, and I noticed it was literally like right down the street from me. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I've been watching her lives and just, loving her business. And I had no idea she was like a couple miles away from me.
That Libby, we've actually been at places together and not even known it. So I'm going to be looking for you from now on.
I love this. Yeah. I love this. I think y'all need to start setting up lunch dates. And you know what? If you did, you could check a bingo off on the bingo game.
Hey, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all need to have lunch. I think that's
definitely. I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't contain myself because there's not a lot of people that do what we do, in all honesty. They're out there, but the fact that somebody also running an online consignment store lives a couple of miles away from me, awesome.
Yeah. I love it. Molly and Tiffany, where are you from? This is the first time I'm meeting both of you.
Yeah.
So I'm actually located in Greensboro, North Carolina, but I used to work with Libby in her storefront when she first opened. We were friends before the consignment business venture. And so when she opened her business, she pulled me in and said, come be my internet sales manager. And so I would work in the store with her, but then my husband's job relocated us. But the beauty of online is I can still work with her and be in a different location. So Conshy Consignment has 2 locations.
And both of our kids ended up are currently at UNC Charlotte in North Carolina. So how fun is that? Like, what a weird coincidence.
Which isn't as crazy for my son, since we live in Greensboro, that he would go to UNC Charlotte. But the fact that Emma would choose to come all the way to Charlotte and go to UNC Charlotte, I love it. I love it.
Beautiful. Well, my son recently had a soccer tournament in Greensboro, and so he and my husband drove. They were going to fly, but of course with the pandemic, everything is just a little weird. So they decided to drive. And I have to give a shout out to my son, he's 18. has gotten a little bit of my genes when it comes to loving thrift and consignment. So they stopped on the way to North Carolina. They stopped in Virginia, and he said he went into this little store, and it was I don't know if it was a thrift store, a consignment store. And he said there were 2 Nike t-shirts that he bought, and I think they were possibly maybe $30 a piece, which I think is a little expensive for, a used.
Yeah.
And even the woman at the counter, she said, "Are you okay with paying that much?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." But he said, "Mom, these are like the holy grail." He said they're like really original, and he claims, he always surprises me, but claims they'll sell for like $400 or $500 a piece on these vintage t-shirts that all the kids love. So we'll see. He's yet to come up because right now they're in his personal collection.
Wow. So crazy story, was probably at that tournament your son played in, because dear friends of mine whose son plays for Lower Merion, and they came down. Drew and his dad drove down, and they texted me and said, "We're coming to a tournament in Greensboro." So my husband and I went Saturday and Sunday and watched Drew play. So crazy. We were right there at the same field.
Oh my gosh, that is so bizarre.
What a small world.
Yeah. My son was a soccer player. He's, in college now and doesn't play, but played travel when we lived in Conshy, and for clubs there his whole way through. And then when we moved here, so we're big soccer people.
Well, they won the tournament somehow. And so now we're going down to Sarasota, Florida for the nationals competition in July.
Nice. That's awesome.
Wonderful.
That's awesome. Tiffany, tell her where you live.
Right along the way.
Which Tiffany you're talking to?
Tiffany, our C-Chat's Tiffany.
Yeah. So I'm in Maryland right now. I'm actually only about, I don't know, like 30 minutes from below the Pennsylvania line, but it's like an hour from DC, an hour from Baltimore. And I spent most of my years in the DC area, we call it the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, So I went to school in Virginia and then moved up here when I married my husband. So that's where I am.
Even with all the political, I would think there'd be really good thrift shops around there.
In where I am right now, there's really not.
Oh.
There's not a lot. There's Goodwill, but there's not like a lot of independent ones, and or mom and pop ones is what I want to say. And there's really like only one consignment store in all of Frederick, which is a huge town. So it's really, that I know of, that's all I've been able to find. So it's weird.
It's weird.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's get into it. I want to hear all about, I'm going to say Tiff, just to make it easier since we have with Tiffany and Tiff. Tell us about the name of your business, kind of where that came from, and where you're physically located.
Absolutely. So Russell Christian Consignment, I know a little bit of a mouthful, but there's meaning behind it. So my 2 boys, I have an 18-year-old that I already mentioned, and then a 15-year-old. And one loves to shop, one hates to shop, like they're complete polar opposites. And one has the neat room, one has the messy room, all of that. But love them both the same, of course.
Of course.
Their middle names. So Will, the oldest one, his middle name is Russell, and my younger son is Zach. His middle name is Christian. So took the Russell Christian from their 2 names. And really only started Russell Christian Consignment fairly recently. I've been selling on eBay since I just, looked for my bio, 1998, which kind of surprised me. I don't know where the time has gone.
Wow.
And did it more as a, the side hustle, trying to have a little extra income. I also teach full-time at Kutztown University, which is a state university system here in Pennsylvania, one of the state system schools. And so trying to manage both of them, but really ramping up the resale business has been a goal of mine. I was actually told that I wasn't being rehired. The position that I'm in is yearly. It's a temporary position. But every year you never know. And then they said, no, you're not getting rehired, but now I am getting rehired. So I don't know.
Oh
It's
my
day by
gosh.
day. It seems to, fluctuate. So right now, I may have another year. And I'm located in the Lehigh Valley. So I'm in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and Libby, I guess you're Schnecksville, correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we're like you said, 15 minutes away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you do that, like, would you consider yourself, like, when you're working as a professor, would you consider yourself a part-time online reseller, or do you really dedicate full-time? Like, how do you kind of see yourself in that role?
That's such a great question. I would say I am probably more part-time, looking to expand into full-time.
Okay.
And well, certainly I don't teach over the summer. So during the summer, I would say I'm full-time. So it kind of depends on the season as well.
Okay. Okay.
Nice.
And yeah, like, so how did you get started? Like, what was that, entry like into consignment?
I would say, again, starting on eBay as a reseller,
Mhm.
I branched out. It looked like, I checked the date again, 2015 is when I started on Poshmark. So I am a Poshmark ambassador. And then the consignment part of it is, again, fairly recent, within about 3 to 6 months.
Oh wow. Oh, that's neat. I love when new people come into consignment. And so I think I already know the answer to this next one, but we do like to ask, what is your favorite selling platform?
What's your guess, Libby?
My guess is eBay.
Yeah,
I
you're
do.
right.
That's all of us. I mean,
Is that all
Yeah.
of yours too?
yeah. Yeah, we love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm the most comfortable with it. I'm certainly willing to try new platforms, and I really do like Poshmark for certain things. I feel
Mhm.
like the designer items, the higher price items, feel like they sometimes go better on Poshmark.
Mhm.
But yeah, eBay's my staple.
You just can't beat the audience you get with eBay sometimes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we all use different platforms, but yeah, that's our number one for sure. Yeah.
Great.
So you mentioned that you're getting more into consignors in the past, more recently. How do you get your inventory and your consignors? What ways do you go about doing that?
Sure. Mostly right now, consignors are word of mouth. So it's a lot of friends. And then once people say, oh, I didn't know you did that, I have things for you. Tens of friends. Word of mouth has been great for the consignor portion. The rest of the inventory is just my shopping constantly. I love to shop, and I always have. And so when I realized I could shop and then make money shopping, I was like, this is the best thing in the world.
Soul sister. She's my soul sister.
Absolutely.
I love you.
Yeah. It's so neat how, like, once you're a reseller, you can easily fit consignment into that model. It's pretty seamless. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think probably, I don't know if some of you started like this, but a lot of people start by, when my kids were younger, selling their items that they no longer could fit in. And then you're like, oh, okay. And so I think probably that's how I did start selling my own things and selling the things of my kids when they outgrew it. And then growing into looking for things and sourcing things by going to different sales, whether it be Goodwill, different thrift stores, or consignment stores. Or I do the same thing, Libby. I'll watch other Facebook Live sales, and I kind of, again, this is another thing I mentioned my son does, but I probably passed on to him. But I have, like, I buy it for myself, and then it's like, okay, do I keep this or do I sell it? And
that sounds familiar, Molly.
Doesn't it?
the same thing.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think you started a lot, like, both Tiffany's have a lot in common with the way you started
with the kids. Yeah,
with the kids, and very similar stories. Yeah.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
So Molly, you said you have a son and Libby has a daughter.
I have a daughter and a son. Our kids are actually, I have an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. So very similar in age as well. So we definitely probably have been in the same location at some point. Yeah.
So I have three boys. Well, I have one of them is mine. The other two are my husband's. We blended our families. And so when we brought the two households together, we had a lot of extra stuff. So I started selling the extra stuff on eBay.
Okay.
And mostly, I think it sort of started when I started shopping for my wedding, because I actually had a Civil War wedding.
That's awesome.
Because my husband was a Civil War reenactor at the time.
Wow.
And he asked me to do that. So, the best place to buy Civil War reenacting stuff is on eBay. So I was selling stuff to buy stuff a lot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then full circle, you just recently sold a lot of your Civil War stuff, right?
I did, yeah, because we don't do that anymore. But, and also as the kids were, 3 boys, none of them they were too close to wear, to like hand-me-downs.
Okay.
But then they were, plus one was really skinny and the other two were big, and it was like, oh, it was a mess. So I just kind of sold it, and sold it all, and that's how I got started with that.
Neat.
Yeah.
It's not the circle of life, it's the circle of clothing,
Same thing.
We need to do a song with that. I'm always about, we got to come up with a song. Like
you and Tiffany are the singers. Why not?
Oh, I'm not a singer. I just like to think I can. I think every time I take a shower, I'm Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston. But what do you do?
Yeah.
So, Tiff, to separate again, you mentioned a minute ago about your live sales, and I know you mentioned you'd been doing those. We want to know more about your live Facebook sales and how that's affected your business overall, and kind of how that works.
So when quarantine started, there's a store in Bethlehem, and they were doing live sales. And so I started watching them. And the more I watched, I didn't mention at Kutztown, I teach public speaking. And so I usually teach the class that everyone dreads taking. Oh, I don't want to get up and talk.
Yes.
I happen to love it. And even the students say after it's over, it wasn't that bad. But so we do informative speaking, persuasive speaking. And so I love being in front of people, and I love public speaking. And so a natural kind of outlet of that, when I was watching the live sales, I'm like, I'd really like to do that. So trying to marry the selling on eBay and thinking, okay, now I can get in front of an audience, if you will, and have a little bit of a conversation, even though it's sometimes one-sided, but get to sell some of the things. And so it's been great. I mean, it's really, I know this is a question, maybe later you're talking about a quote or giving some advice to people who are just starting out.
Go ahead, throw it in there. Yeah.
Now, I read on Facebook, I think it was Facebook, it could have even been on the site. So I hope I'm giving credit. I found it somewhere. It's not my own, but somebody said, don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. And I just love that, because that's when I did start selling on the live sales, I was a little bit discouraged, because I thought, oh, I'm only getting 10 people watching. And even now, it really is something that you have to work at, and it takes time. And a lot of people talk about consistency, and I haven't gotten there yet. And so I sometimes get a little bit sad when I watch other live shows and they've got 30 people watching or more, hundreds, and you're like, wow, how do they do that? But it just comes back, I have to remind myself that I'm just starting out in that particular area. And so I really like that, not to compare my beginning to someone else's middle, and people who are further along. And that can be really, I think, on any platform when you are looking to sell something and you see when my son started doing his own thing and he said, I have zero feedback. And, it's a little intimidating, like until you get those first few under your belt. But I would say just try it out, see how you like it. And I really enjoy it. It's something that I want to try and continue to do. I think I'm trying to figure out how many I can actually sustain. So for a while I was trying to do it weekly, and I just, with the teaching, it was hard for me to have enough inventory right now to be able to do a weekly show. And I was doing maybe like 30 to 40 items on every live.
That was going to be my next question. How many items were you doing?
Yeah, so I think it's a good number because that typically took me about an hour. And I think an hour is a good enough time where if people are going to dedicate to watching, it gives them a good amount of time to be with you, but not too long that they get bored. And so, you're trying to find that sweet spot. So I was trying to work around about an hour time, and that for me ended up being 30 to 40 items. And so now I'm going to maybe every 2 weeks, even considering maybe just like really finding the most amazing things to showcase once a month. And then that way I could have, really great special items. And I think that could also help draw in like consignors that say, hey, I really want to be featured on the live sales, or oh, I'd rather just have my items sold like on eBay or wherever. So being able to use that too as maybe a marketing tool.
Yeah, Molly and I we just had a very similar conversation this morning.
We do
weekly lives.
Okay.
And we started about 3 months ago?
Something like that, yeah.
3 months ago. And it's definitely a slow build. We were talking about like that comparison thing as well. And, whether consistency was going to get us where we wanted to be. And it's just interesting because it seems like you're on a similar path. My kind of take on it a little bit was it's also about building community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not so much about the sales, but it's about building that community. And, so when somebody goes to purchase something new, they're thinking consignment. Maybe that's the first thought in their head, where it wouldn't have been if they weren't a part of that kind of interaction and community. Maybe it's not the items you have on your live sale, but you're putting yourself out there. And I think it's interesting you said you're public speaking, because I think that now that I'm thinking about it, is one of the reasons I was watching your live sale, because you did such an incredible job. And I was just like very naturally drawn to what you were doing. And it just seemed just authentic, professional. Like it definitely drew me in. Yeah.
I think so too. I caught you on Instagram doing a sale the other day, and I just thought it was really good. And I think if you started live sales and you had 10 like right off the bat, that is amazing. Because I've done a few live sales, but it's not really, I don't really feel very comfortable with it. But I've done a few, and I always get like 1 or 2 people looking, like, because I wasn't steady and consistent with it. Plus I don't have a huge following because I'm just part-time. But I think you said something about, that comparison game. And that was really hard for me in the beginning, especially when I first met Libby, because I would aspire to be Libby, because she's been in the business for longer. She's full-time and I'm part-time. And I had a lot of comparison things going on in my mind a lot there. But it's different. You can't do that because it's a different situation, because she has been in for 12 years and I've only been doing this a couple of years. It's consignment really, and really putting an effort in. I mean, I sold my own stuff for years, but not, really the consignment stuff full blown has been like 2 years, and it's still part-time because I still have another jobs.
Yeah.
So you can't do that comparison thing. It just takes you down a bad road.
So it's so hard not to. I mean, it's so hard not to, because as it is natural to compare yourself and kind of see where you are. Like, you want to gauge where you are. You want to gauge where you can be. You want to see what, other people are doing that's successful.
Right.
And it's so, I mean, you want to do that. It's human nature. It's good business. But on the same level, not to get down on yourself.
Right. There's a line between inspiring, wanting to be inspired to do better, versus feeling defeated because you're not enough. There's a line there. So it's good to look for people for inspiration, but don't take it into a personal, I'm not good enough. you know.
You all do live sales, and this is one of the things that I'm still trying to figure out. Do you do them on Facebook? Do you do them on Instagram, or both?
So we do Facebook, but we've actually talked about we're going to start throwing in Instagram in a few weeks, you know, keeping the Facebook consistent because we do it at the same time every week and it's an event. And, you know, we do have people that Tiffany's always there with us. We do have a consistent following of people who come weekly and look forward to it weekly. And if they can't see it, we get messages, I can't be there this Thursday. I'm going to have to watch the replay. But we have talked about taking that and then just redoing it again in Instagram to see what happens there. We haven't done it yet, but we wouldn't do it in place of.
Okay.
In our software, the software we use that, are you familiar with the Reply Sold software?
I'm not. I would love to look into it though.
Yeah. Yeah, hit me up. Well, I'll let you know all about it if you're interested in it, or take a look at one of the live sales you can see. But it only works on the Facebook lives. It just automates things. It just makes things a little easier, like to scan barcodes and things like that.
Okay.
But it only works on Facebook.
Well, I could tell you one trial and error. I did go live on both Facebook and Instagram at the same time.
I did that once.
You did too. Yeah.
It didn't go that well. Well, fortunately, the person who was upset with me was my son's girlfriend, so it was okay. So she was on Instagram, and the person, I held up an item. I happened to see that the person on Facebook had sold first, and she really wanted it, and she said sold on Instagram, and so it was hard. It was like that split second of like, who put it first? And obviously on Facebook, you can tell, and with your software, I'm sure you can tell, or they tell you who was first. But when I had both of them going at the same time, I couldn't. And she's like, I really wanted that. So we smoothed it over. Fortunately, it was a friend. So
oops, right.
I don't think I'm going to do that again.
Yeah, I think we talked about we would do it as a separate event.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So.
I'm learning, just like I teach in my public speaking class, one of the things that we really hit hard, we do a whole chapter on audience analysis. And I'm learning that I think in some ways the audience on Instagram is different from the audience on Facebook. Just like I think even the audience on eBay is different from Poshmark, at least some of the sales I make, it seems to me that that's true. So I'm trying to figure out how to really focus on who the audience is. I haven't figured it out yet, but.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, because I agree. We've discussed that too. You've got different audiences. If you had any input as to live sale wise, the difference in Instagram versus Facebook.
I guess that from the limited amount of time that I've done the Instagram ones, it seems like with Instagram, it's finding a time when people are really just there. It's rather than like you do with Facebook, it's an event. People kind of plan to be there. You'll still catch some people who are on when you're going live. But Instagram, I think it's more just, I don't know, who's on at that time. And it may be, to me, it seems like a little bit of a younger demographic than I'm getting on the Facebook live sale.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
You had given some advice about just starting, but I think that advice was more geared towards like the Facebook Lives. But do you have any general advice on someone just starting in the consignment business?
I think my best advice would probably be to be flexible and to be flexible, but also be professional. So making sure that the people you're consigning with realize that you're trying to get them the most you can for their items. I think that's important. But at the same time, being willing to say, trying to encourage them to understand that it may sell better on one than the other, or, you know, don't get discouraged if it sits for a while. You know, I'm sure you've had experiences where you can have something for sale forever, or start something at like a certain price and no one nibbles, and then all of a sudden you drop it and then it goes higher than you ever expected. So I think just flexibility and professionalism moving forward.
I like that.
Really good. Yeah.
What is the one thing that you're most proud of about your business?
I think the one thing I'm most proud of is just learning, being self-taught and learning as I go. No one's really ever, this isn't something I went to school for. My major was communications, and hence the, the public speaking part of it. I had an emphasis in speech and in film, but most of like the social part of it, being on Instagram, being on Facebook, all of that, I'm learning as I go. And I can't say I'm great at it, but I am very proud that I'm figuring it out. And, I don't want to be one of those people that is resistant to change or trying new things. So I'm working on, trying to figure out new platforms that might be good to check out, and whether they work or not, just learning as I go, trying to figure out how to make the most of it. And so I'm kind of happy that I'm self-taught and fairly successful at this point.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, you should be very proud of that. It's not the easiest business in the world.
What do you do for personal wind down time and fun?
Does every guest say shopping? I mean, I feel like that's
No.
We're our own breed.
Shop. I can't stand shopping.
We are our own breed, Tiffany. We are our own breed. They're not all like us.
That's why I sell consignment, because I don't want to shop.
Oh, really? Oh, see,
no, bring it to me. I don't want to go out there. No.
I love shop. So it's because it's like, that's part of the job, and that's the most fun part for me. So in my spare time, if I can go shopping, I will. I love to shop. Other than that, probably watching soccer games. Both boys are into soccer, and so just outdoors, some things like hiking and walking, and I enjoy that as well. But yeah, shopping would be on the top of my list.
I feel like I have found my other half. I feel like I'm like
do this more often.
Soccer.
Oh my gosh! If you're in Greensboro, Molly will take you on the consignment. I love to go because I did it on a consignment tour, and there are some incredible stores there.
Oh, I would love that.
We're gonna have some goodies.
Oh, now I'm hoping they have another tournament down there.
Oh, just come on down. You don't need a tournament, but they do have. There are so many tournaments here, and then in also Greer in South Carolina, which you would come past us to go to that one. So but hey, there's always room. Come on anytime.
See, this is why I buy so many clothes from Conshy Consignment, because Molly's like my personal shopper.
Wow, I love it.
And I buy all the stuff that she picks out, like this. Like I just buy all this stuff on the resale therapy lives. I love it.
It's funny because I do love seeking it out, and sometimes I'm like, oh, Libby will love this. Oh, Tiffany's gonna love this, or
I got 2 shirts last night. I bought 2 shirts last night at our live.
She did. She bought 2 for me. Yeah.
So it's Thursday nights?
Thursday nights at 7. Yeah. So much fun. So much fun. Well, Tiff, I cannot thank you enough. All of us, I think, feel the same, for joining us, for talking to us all about what you do, learning more about it. I love that you and Libby are in the same area. I'm going to be looking for pictures of the 2 of you grabbing a coffee or lunch. I'm putting that out there. Well, she doesn't shop. So when I come in town to visit, you and I will shop.
Oh, I take you shopping, Molly, when you come.
She does. I make her go with me when she comes here too. But yes, when I come in town, we will definitely shop, because we do come visit often. We have to come back up there and see all of our soccer family and Libby and school people. But it's been a joy having you. I feel like we've yet done another C-Chat spotlight where we've met another member of our family now. Like, you're in it. We're like the consignment mafia. Once you're in, you can't get out. So you're stuck with us.
Your ring is in the mail.
Right.
There is nothing I like more than like supporting other consignment businesses and resellers and just kind of lifting, all of us up. And it's always
just like our last.
I think it's so overused the word synergy, but it is like a synergistic relationship. Yeah, for sure.
And I think you bring up a good point. Being happy for other people who are doing the same thing. It's really not a competition. It's I buy things from different live sales. Again, I keep some, I sell some, and other people I know, like on Instagram, I had someone who I bought something from her and later she bought something from me. And so it's just all about finding that right item for the right person. And whether that be my store, your store, I think it's great to really share resources. And so I appreciate like you saying, I'll share that information about that reply sold software and things that you use that could be helpful. So it's super appreciated that you have me on. And again, learning from other people is excellent for me.
And you're gonna have to listen to episode 20.
Okay.
Was it episode 20? Am I right, Tiffany, or 21? Which one is all about
why we don't compete? We dedicated a whole episode.
It's not out yet. It'll be out
time, but
we're recording now and it's not out. So it'll come the week before this one comes out. For all y'all listening, we're always a week.
Yeah, it'll be there for everybody else.
But we
it's
did
on why we don't compete. Yeah,
on why we don't compete. So it's a great one, and it's what we love.
Perfect.
Yeah. So as Libby had mentioned, we're going to link up all of your contact information so that people can find you and connect with you. We're going to link all that up in our show notes and comments, and that way people can find your business.
Wonderful. Thank you again. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you.
So much, Tiffany.
Have a great day. Oh, y'all, how much fun is she? Like, I am serious when I say she's my soul sister.
Oh, yeah. You guys need to go shopping.
Yeah, she's totally my girl. Totally I love her. Not that y'all can't love her too. Y'all can love her too, but we are definitely going to have to shop together.
Well, you know what's great was she had something in common with each of us.
Yes,
absolutely great.
Yeah,
that's true.
That is completely true. So yeah, she's, as we said, she's in. She'll never get out now.
Yeah. She's a power consignment person for sure. She actually won one of our challenges, one of our impromptu listing challenges. She was the winner. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I forgot to talk about that. We just ran out of time in the interview. There were so many good things to talk about. But
I know.
Yeah. She actually won one of our impromptu challenges for the number of items listed on a Monday.
Ooh. Yeah. Nice. Good for her. Well, so, it's so nice, and our community's growing, which is nice. Tiffany, do you have anything to share going on over in our community?
I do.
Our extra special group of cool people.
We have a great comment on YouTube on our episode 18. That was the one where we showed you guys our inventory storage. This is from Samantha. It says, thank you for posting the videos of each of your spaces. It makes me motivated to reorganize my space and jump into some listings. I currently have several totes and bags of consignment items that I haven't even went through yet. I just slapped a consignor ID on it and prayed for more time. I'm currently working 60-ish hours at my real job, which is making it hard to concentrate on anything else. Wow. My eBay listings are dwindling, and I haven't posted an item on Facebook in a while. Seeing that you guys are real people with real spare rooms, attics, and sheds filled with stuff helped me feel less overwhelmed. It's not always as pretty or glamorous as those resellers show on YouTube. I am normal. Here's to rolling up my sleeves and spending this weekend in my inventory room.
Oh, that's awesome. Go, Samantha. You got this.
Yeah. I think when she said it's not pretty, I think she was talking about my storage space.
I mean,
because you guys are all pretty.
Well,
again, my situation looks a little prettier than my space.
Yeah, honestly, when you have that many items, it's hard to get pretty. I mean, unless you rent a warehouse or something.
I love that so much. I just love that so much.
No, and I understand the pressure of working another job and then still trying to do this and and still trying to be there for your consignors and get their stuff up as fast as possible. It's a challenge. It's like
the challenge.
It's really a challenge.
Yeah.
Difficulties of multitasking, man.
It's not like I got texts this week, from two different people. I'm bringing you all this stuff, blah, 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 and listening to all this stuff. And another one, I'm bringing you stuff, and someone's bringing me stuff from California.
Oh, nice.
They literally filled a suitcase and they're flying in with a suitcase just for me. And I was like, oh God, that's great.
And that is a prime example of why you don't have to look too far for inventory, man. If you're good at what you do,
it will show up.
Find you. They will fly out to you.
Right.
Because
the one person's bringing me a suitcase. The other person's bringing me 11 boxes and 2 bins. And I'm like, oh, jeez.
I got to throw a little disclaimer out there. I got to throw a little sidekick to this.
All right.
If you are friends and family who happen to listen to this show, because the show was really, we've developed this for people in the business. However, we do have people who just adore us because, why not? That listen. I have actually had feedback of somebody scared to bring stuff because they heard when Libby, you were talking about never a family member comes without a trunk load. We'd like to just have them come. And so I get this I really want to tell you that our cousin has some stuff, but I heard that episode and I'm like, no. That was all in jest. Like, we're just being funny about it. Please do not take that seriously.
Right.
Bring it on, girl. Bring it on. So I gotta throw
that was not my intention. That was not my intention.
I knew it wasn't, but
I'm super grateful, but it's just always like, oh, yeah. There's a little bit of a cringe, but then I'm very grateful.
What I understand, what I always say, as long as they comprehend and are okay with the fact that it may be a little bit before it gets out there, and if they're comfortable with that and they're okay with that and they trust me 100%, bring it on. Yeah. Bring it on. So,
yeah, we like to joke. We like to joke about that because it's just, if you ever decide to get into the consignment business, it is funny when friends and family come to visit. It is funny, and we joke about it. It's just
we do, but please don't take it to heart.
Definitely happens to me all the time. Nobody comes here without bringing something.
No, don't take it to heart, and don't bring us your dirty underwear. We don't want them, please. No, we draw the line.
Yes, you do.
Oh my gosh.
And I've been asked that before.
Do you take pre-owned underwear? That's a hard no.
That's a hard no.
Hard no, all caps, multiple.
No disclaimer on that one. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Hard.
Literally.
No. But. She said but. All right, we're getting really immature here, ladies. I think we need to cut this before we lose people.
Yes. Okay. Sounds good.
Hugs up.
All right. So you guys, if you like hanging out with us, make sure you subscribe, hit that little bell, smash that bell, as Libby likes to say.
No, I don't like to say that.
No, you say it because I know
the guys like to say that.
I know because our buddies over at Pure Hustle like to say it too.
Yeah.
We love them. They're cool. But anyway, make sure you subscribe, click that little notification bell, leave us some feedback. As you can tell, we like to read it each week. It's fun. It's inspirational. Head over to consignmentchats.com. You can hook up with us in all the different places that we are. And until next week, ladies, cheers.
Cheers.
And yes, I have lipstick on my cup because unfortunately I double-sided it today.
Both sides.
There's no way to hide it. Y'all have a good weekend, a good week, a good whatever day.
Thanks for joining Libby, Molly, and Tiffany, the ladies of Consignment Chats, as we talked about all things consignment. To learn more and keep chatting, find Consignment Chats on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, and Instagram.